I'm your host, Lizeth Alvarado. This is The Laws of Epic Beauty. My guest today is Elsie Guerrero. Elsie, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I feel so honored to have your time with us today. Elsie, I'm blown away with all the accomplishments you've achieved thus far. I could take up the whole segment just listing it all, but we only have 15 minutes. And viewers, just a brief highlight. Elsie is the founder of Advancing Latinas into Leadership, a mentorship program, a trainer for low-income families, and she's with special needs in particular, Juris Doctor, Master of Public Administration, author, publisher, business owner, and philanthropist. If you didn't think you could start something from nothing, think again. So here's a story of tribulation and triumph, and I'm excited for you to be able to share your stories. I would never imagine you facing any obstacles, especially after your resume. The first thing that comes to mind is, wow, she must have a lot of help and it must come so easy for her. Now, you're in an El Salvadorian background, born in the US with so much accomplishment. Now, what kind of upbringing did you have? Can you please share with us?
Yeah, so I'm Salvadorian and Mexican, but I grew up in a single parent household. So I didn't get to meet my father until I was an adult. Until actually when I moved to DC is when I got to meet my father. But I grew up in a single parent household. My mom was a working mother of 4 children, and I grew up in daycare and seeing my mom working hard day and night and not really being in the home, I think it instilled in me that I wanted to do something great so that she could be proud of me.
Okay. And what kind of things do you have to do in order for her to be proud of you?
I'm sorry, you cut off.
Like, what kind of things did you feel like you had to do in order for her to be proud of you?
Well, I wasn't sure. I just, like, my mom always said to me, as long as you stay out of trouble, I don't care what you do. But funny enough, when I was a little kid, Univision, they had Un Orgullo Hispano, a proud Hispanic. They had a segment and they were showing all these powerful Latinos who were making a difference. And when I was 10 years old, I said to myself, wow, I can't wait to be on that show. Like, I want to be part of that segment. Unfortunately, Univision, if you're watching this, please put it back because I really wanted to be on it. But, I didn't know what I wanted to do all the way until I got to college. It was in college where I kind of got involved in public policy. Like, I never thought about being a children's book author. As you can see on my books in the background, it wasn't something I aspired. It's something I fell into. I wanted to be a model. I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't think of ever being a nonprofit owner, a business owner, publishing children's book, mentoring high school girls, giving scholarships, and just being a community organizer as a whole. It's something that just kind of I fell into. And it really just came from my life experience. I'm the first in my family to go to college. It was something different, new. My mom actually didn't want me to go to college. She wanted me to stay home. She thought that going away from college meant I was trying to get away from her. But really, it was just creating a new path for me. And creating that new path alone, even though I'm a twin, I have a twin brother, but my twin brother joined the military, and I went to college. And, going to college as a first generation mother, not knowing what college is, it was a struggling time. I dealt with financial hardships. I went to college during the recession. I've also dealt with, housing issues. And it just was a lot of obstacles for me. I worked 3 jobs while I was in school. I didn't get to really have that college experience that I wanted to, but I did have a really good one. And it kind of just motivated me to help others. And
what were some of the obstacles that you faced?
I think one of the things that I faced was financial hardship. I think, not being able to pay for college. And I think that's one of the things that the Biden administration is kind of dealing with right now with the student loan debt. A lot of us had to be taking out student loans to be able to finance our education. Black and brown students tend to borrow double to their white counterparts. And then you have to pay those back. And then, the struggles of trying to get a job right after graduating. I didn't get a job right out of graduation. I ended up having to do internship. That's actually how I started this. My first job out of college was working with children with special needs. I never thought that I would work with kids with special needs. And who would have thought that working with kids at an autism school would lead to all of this? So that's what I was sharing earlier, is that I kind of fell into this this journey that I didn't think I was going to do.
So the journey, you fell into becoming a publisher because of going to law school. Is that correct?
I became a published author because I was inspired by the children. So the children, I worked in an autism school, and and my goal was to help my kids get into public schools and be able to be with other students. And their non-disabled peers did not quite understand why their peers were acting a certain way. So it actually inspired me. So I went to the library looking for books to share with students, to kind of learn, like, hey, what's Down syndrome? What's autism? What's dyslexia? And there weren't any children's books about children who, about their peers. There were mostly books about for parents or for teachers and how to work with kids with special needs, but there weren't any about children reading about their own peers. And so that's really where the inspiration came from. And then as for the mentorship program, that came through my struggles, being a first generation, having financial hardships, finding mentors through college to help me get to where I am today. It was through mentorship that I am as successful as I am, being that I came from a family who didn't really know about college, didn't really aspire to it. Not because they didn't want to, they just didn't know. My family is more about surviving and not so much about, a long-term future. And so I'm the first in my family to pave it, as the first in my family to get a bachelor's, first to get a master's, first to go to law school, first to start. There's a lot of firsts in my life, but I got to where I am today because of the mentorships, the people who guided me and helped me through, or believed in me. Strangers, believe it or not, my biggest supporters are strangers compared to my family. It's a sad story, but it keeps you motivated. Even the children in this book, I'm going to show you this picture. This is actually based on a real story about my students. They're in the back of the book. Children sharing their stories with me inspired me to keep going.
Now, what is the overall message you're trying to deliver through your children's books?
The overall message is to promote inclusion, to bring awareness about children with special needs, but also about social issues. For example, bringing back history. This book is not about disability. Yes, I started writing about disabilities, but I started to incorporate social issues that I thought were very important. This one's also based on true story. Let me share the photo in the back of the book. So the children who've influenced policy. And so I also talk about topics that I think are really important to our community to learn, to promote inclusion. For example, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, it has it's a territory in the United States. So it has its own rich history. And the cool thing about this book is that the proceeds goes to building a park in Puerto Rico from those impacted by Hurricane Maria or the earthquake. So they're also charity books. So the funds, I actually don't get paid. I don't make a single dollar from any of these books. They all go back to publishing more books. So there's beautiful fans out there who purchase books that have made it possible for other children to share their stories, because it's not cheap to publish a book, but it's because of the community supporting my journey that I was able to publish more books to bring out that voice. It's creating a voice to promote inclusion, educating children, community, adults about autism, dyslexia, cerebral palsy, diversity, inclusion, different backgrounds, being Black and brown in the United States. It's really bringing awareness to topics that I think are very important in today's era.
Now, I understand that you went to law school. What was your decision? What inspired your decision to go to law school?
I went to law school so that I can be able to give back to my community. I wanted to do public service, and having a law degree will help me with my, like, for example, my mentoring program. I hope to be able to provide services to my students who are DACA recipients or are asylum seekers, being able to help provide them that legal resources at no charge. As well as with my children's book, I am very passionate in my role as special education. I do provide training to parents in the community and educating them about their rights with IDEA. But, you know, I want to be able to also help them when they do come to me about a violation and being able to represent them. So I hope to utilize that degree in a way that I can be a service to my community at no charge.
Now, you've done so many things, Elsie, and I mean, it seems as though it's been such a smooth path. And what has been the biggest challenge that you faced throughout this journey?
My biggest challenge, I have to say, is funding, because I pride myself not to charge the community. You know, I've actually donated books to the library. I think that, you know, my mentoring program, we don't charge our students to be part of the program. I think funding has always been one of the biggest things for me, because I pride on giving scholarships to students. I pride myself on being able to publish books with children who share their stories. I don't want them to feel that they can't share their story with me because it's going to cost them, you know? And so funding has been one of the challenging things for me, especially during this pandemic. My sales on my books have gone down, but hopefully, you know, this summer I plan on having my first summer pop-up store, and I hope to be able to make more sales now that we're, you know, everyone's getting vaccine and we're starting to be having availability to be out in the community more. I hope to be able to increase my sales so that I can publish more books. I have a long wait list, you know, there. And then, you know, we'll also be doing a fundraiser with the mentoring program. We'll be having our virtual 5K run for scholarships to be able to give more scholarships to girls next year.
Has there, what about personal challenges that you faced?
Personal challenges that I face. I guess I have to say my personal challenge is that I give so much energy to everyone else that sometimes I forget to give myself some me time, like my hair right now. I've been so I think one of the things that I challenge is balance, and I think it's really important to balance your personal life from your work life. Like last week, I went and got a mani and pedi, and it was just so amazing. And I, you know, since then I've been trying to, you know, make sure I make time for self-care. I think it's really important to be able to sit back and relax and not always be on the go. And that's one of my challenges that I'm working on.
Okay, well, my very last question, Elsie, is I'd love to know what your law of epic beauty is.
My law of active beauty is to always love yourself, always be proud of yourself, and know that, you know, yesterday is history, and tomorrow is another day to be great.
That's beautiful, Elsie. Well, I personally know you, and I know how hard you work, and I know how selfless you are, and I think you're absolutely amazing. You're one of the purest, kindest people that I know, and I really encourage everyone to support her, as she's really changing lives and making such a difference for our youth. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for what else is in store for your beautiful, prosperous future, Elsie. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you.